Hey everyone, Pinterest reported second quarter fiscal year 2024 financial results after the markets closed on Tuesday, July 30th. Those results are sending the stock price down as much as 12% following the announcement. I'll review those financial figures in this video. I'll share with you the reasons why Pinterest stock price is falling, the specific factors that the company reported that's causing the stock price to fall. And I'll update my buy recommendation for Pinterest stock. I'll let you know if this dip is a buying opportunity for long-term investors. So let's take a look. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. So Pinterest reported second quarter revenue of 21% growth year over year to $854 million. And the revenue growth number was solid, and this was a good side from the company's quarterly report. Global monthly active users also increased by 12%. The company now has 522 million monthly active users. Now, 12% growth in monthly active users is great. However, if you look within, the regions for growth is one reason why the stock price is down. It matters where you're getting these global monthly active users. And I'll share with you why that's the case, why it matters if you grow in the United States or if you grow in Europe or in the rest of the world. And I'll share with you the specifics from that. Now, the good news came from its innovations in monetization, where advertisers are seeing improved performance across key objectives, from brand awareness to conversion, as they continue rolling out AI-powered products and experiences. As a result, they're gaining market share of advertising budgets with some of the world's largest brands. And overall, that's true as well. If you look at their second quarter 21% revenue growth year over year, the advertising industry did not grow by 21% in the second quarter. It grew by less than double digits. So with Pinterest growing revenue by 21%, it is indeed gaining market share in this massive industry. Remember, globally, advertisers spend nearly $1 trillion annually. So Pinterest is still a relatively small part of that massive market opportunity. Another positive from the company's quarter was the increase in profitability. In the same quarter last year, the company lost nearly $35 million on the bottom line. This year, it reported a profit of $8.9 million. Now, some of that was due to interest income, as the company has a pristine balance sheet with hundreds of millions in cash and zero debt. And so it's able to earn interest income on that cash, and that helped the company deliver profitability in the latest quarter. All right, so I highlighted that I would discuss the distinction between where users are coming from. So here Pinterest reports its monthly active users on a global basis, and then it breaks it down by geography between the US and Canada, Europe, and the rest of the world. And you'll notice that from the US and Canada, it has the smallest monthly active user total, which increased year over year to 98 million, up from 95 million in the same time last year. That was good news. And you can see the average revenue per user from people in the US and Canada increased by 16% to $6.85. I also want you to take notice of the average revenue per user in every other region. You'll notice that users from the rest of the world generate just 13 cents in average revenue for Pinterest. So that's less than 50 times as much as a user from the US and Canada. So you can understand why, if you attract the user from the US and Canada, it's more valuable to investors versus if you attract the user from the rest of the world. And the reason this exists is because people from the US and Canada have more spending power. They have more purchasing power. And so marketers are willing to spend more money to get the attention of these people with greater purchasing power. If you don't have that much purchasing power, advertisers are not that interested in getting your attention because you don't have that much money to spend. For that reason, it's important for Pinterest to grow in the US and Canada, which in the latest quarter, they did not. So let me share that with you. So here's a breakdown of their 5 most recent quarters, and more specifically, how the company grew in the latest quarter, Q2 2024 from Q1 2024. And you'll notice in the US and Canada, that number was flat, 98 million, 98 million, no growth in the US and Canada. Now, if you compare with the second quarter last year, that's where you see that growth come in, is 3 million up from the same time last year, which is good, but it would have been better if there was growth here quarter over quarter as well. To make matters worse, the company lost 4 million monthly active users from Europe, which is its second most important region. That number went from 140 million down to 136 million. The area where the company grew was in the rest of the world region, which increased from 279 million up to 288 million. Now let's take a look at the average revenue per user again. You'll notice that in Europe, the average revenue per user is $1.03, whereas in the rest of the world, it's just 13 cents. So only a fraction of that in Europe, 10% roughly of what they get from users in Europe. So they lost 4 million users from Europe, which is the second most valuable in terms of average revenue per user. And all of their user growth came from the rest of the world region, which they only generate 13 cents average revenue per user. And so you can understand why investors were disappointed from the company's monthly active user growth. And this is a vital metric for Pinterest. The company generates revenue by showing advertisements to its users. And so if it has fewer users or users from different regions that generate less revenue, then the revenue potential earning capacity for the company decreases. This is a vitally important metric for Pinterest. So for the third quarter, the company is forecasting revenue growth of 17%, which is a decrease from the 21% in the second quarter. So there is a deceleration here, which investors were not thrilled about. But a little bit more disappointing was that their expense growth is forecasted to be larger than their revenue growth. So at the midpoint, they're forecasting 18.5% expense growth, where they're forecasting just 17% revenue growth. Of course, if your expenses are growing faster than revenue, then that's going to bring down profitability, which of course is bad news for investors. And that's the second reason why Pinterest stock price is down so much following the earnings release. Still, the company did a great job in generating cash flow from operations, which have increased to 462 million in the first 6 months of 2024, and that's up from 246 million in the first 6 months of 2023. They've generated significant cash flow from operations, and that's working to improve their balance sheet, which is in great condition. Now, Pinterest stock is trading at a forward price to earnings of a little less than 21, which I think is a relative bargain. Now, coming into this earnings release, I had Pinterest stock rated as a buy, and I last updated that recommendation on May 27th. Following these earnings results and the stock price decrease, I'm updating my recommendation for Pinterest stock, reiterating that I think it's an excellent purchase at current valuations. If you liked the video you just saw and you want to see more just like it, please subscribe to the channel. I can't keep this channel free without the support of viewers like you. And if you're already subscribed, thank you, and I appreciate your support.